Welcome back to another ARK video, survivors. The huge update that saw several pushbacks has finally released, and it's got a massive long list of bug fixes attached to it, along with some issues for PlayStation users, some new servers, and server transfers are finally here for official servers only. Let's take a look at what has come in this major version patch that just dropped, because for me it was a 9.8 gig download. So I hope if you're on PC, you've all got fast internet speeds. A lot of these bugs being fixed is stuff I've not even experienced myself, so I'm hoping that these have resolved some of the issues for you guys that you've been suffering with. As always, survivors, make sure to subscribe so you don't miss out on any of the latest ARK news. I just wanted to start briefly with what is not covered in this big patch. There's two big elephants in the room. The invisible dragon, that's right, this has not yet been fixed, or at least it wasn't mentioned in the patch notes. I believe the team are possibly still struggling with this issue, as it's likely not easy to reproduce as it doesn't happen every single time, so you've got to wait a bit longer for that one. Windows Store version is not yet back on official crossplay for PvP, and there's no mention of that for months now. I'm starting to begin to think that it won't return, if I'm honest, and literally that is me being completely honest, but who knows. It's just the fact that they haven't mentioned it for months, not even an update, that does raise some alarm bells for me. Those are the two big issues that come to mind which are not covered in this update. The third big elephant in the room was the Xbox save issue, but I've got that covered for you. So first off, I'm not going to read through every single line in the patch notes because there's something like 70 items in the list. I'm not going to put you or myself to sleep, but I will have them on the screen for you to read, and I'll make sure to put a link to the patch notes in the description down below. As soon as the update went live, Wildcard were very quick to put out a message regarding an issue identified on PlayStation. They said, "Heads up PlayStation survivors, we've identified an issue in the build causing movement problems. A client patch is scheduled for later today to fix this. Stay tuned for updates." Now this is very interesting because this issue has just been spotted, yet they've got a client patch scheduled for later today, which either means the issue was known before launch and they already prepped a patch for it because they didn't want to delay the actual release of the update any further, or they've actually got rapid certification with Sony now being able to get patches out for the client a lot quicker, which I don't think they've confirmed yet either way whether they've got that for Sony and Microsoft. You can now finally get rid of the Winter Wonderland mod if you still have it running or paused. I mean, we're so far into the year now, we might as well keep it running for next Christmas. It is crazy. But the content for the Winter Wonderland mod has now been merged into the base game, so when you disable it and remove it, you shouldn't lose any of the content. And hopefully for all of the events going forwards, the content is merged into the base game at the start of the event so that we don't have this whole pausing and single player being stuck with the event until Wildcard get around to fixing it. The Simple Game Framework dev kit has arrived. This has been a big update people have been waiting for. Obviously, I can't talk about this yet because I don't know anything really about it. I'll need time to take a look at it first, as Wildcard hasn't really explained at all how it actually works. And I've had a few people asking me, how does it work? What do you do? Well, I don't know yet. However, you will find if you go in game and go into your inventory and go to the cosmetics tab, you'll see these for survivors, structures and creatures. If you don't see these, then that probably means that you need to respawn your survivor through your specimen implant, and then they should appear in the cosmetics tab in your inventory. Official server transfers have finally arrived. Players can finally move on to other, well, I guess, island servers for now, if that's what you're looking to do. There's no restrictions on these transfers. You can take all items and dinos. Of course, there's the usual restrictions on things like element and other certain items. They have said transfers will be coming to unofficial servers next week. I'm not sure why this is, but it could be that they want to make sure that the transfer system runs smoothly on the official network first before rolling it out. But let's hope it is next week, because I know there's a few unofficial servers that want to set up clusters, particularly with some of the mod maps. They rolled out a bunch of new isolated official servers. These are going to be permanently closed servers, so transfers will not be coming to these servers ever. I have heard that all of the new servers were instantly filled with players very quickly after the update came out. PvE is now using a less aggressive version of anti-mesh, which hopefully is some good news for a lot of people. This will hopefully reduce the number of unintended incidents. It will remain aggressive on PvP however, which is to be expected. Single player save has been fixed. This should be some great news, not only for Xbox players but for everybody that has been experiencing some save issues. I believe this is on all platforms including the Xbox. As we know, PlayStation got this the other day, but now it's been pushed to all platforms. I'm not sure whether this means the save button is back, because I know it wasn't on PlayStation the other day. But with it now all returning to all platforms, please do let me know if the save button is back, because I'm very curious to see if people can manually save or if the game's just relying on automatic saves. Although there's not been any changes to the way cryopods work, they have fixed some issues, which include unclaimed dinos no longer counting as enemies. Amphibians can no longer be released outside of water. I think the issue here was they sometimes disappeared when you released them over land. I know that certainly happened to me with several Diplocolus. They fixed not being able to cryopod dinos after removing them from a Procoptodon pouch, which I've heard a lot about myself from other people. You can no longer cheese the Megapithecus boss anymore by basing yourself on certain bits of terrain. I didn't even know that was a thing. Why do you need to cheese it anyway? It's a very easy fight. They fixed minimap displaying incorrect coordinates. This one was causing quite a bit of confusion for people, and I think might have meant some guides and information out on the internet were possibly incorrect. But all of that should hopefully now be resolved. They've disabled the use of various console commands used to gain visual advantages. Now, I think they did some of this before, and this is another round of disabling some more of them as they continue to monitor them. Of course, it's not clear which ones were disabled on official servers, but I'm sure it won't take long for people to find out. I'm sure they already know. As you can see, there is such a long list of fixes, and this is really good to see. It's great to see a lot of fixes coming in, but I'm not going to go through them all. And right at the end, there are mentions of fixes for client crashes, server crashes, and exploits. I have heard from a few people that performance has improved, especially in terms of crashes after this update, but sadly not for everyone. Of course, on top of all this, we are expecting to see the center map preview and the Gigantoraptor in this week's community crunch, as long as what Jeremy said actually materializes. So take that with a pinch of salt for now. Once I know a bit more about how all of the custom cosmetic stuff works, I will let you guys know about that too. That's all the news for today, survivors. Thanks for watching, and don't forget to subscribe to keep up with all the latest ARK news.